Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the story of a device that once revolutionized the way we communicated. It's a device that may seem simple now, but in its time, it was a true game changer. We're talking about the pager. For many, it was more than just a beeping device. It was a lifeline, a connector, and a symbol of being needed, of being reachable. The pager had its moment, and what a moment it was. The early days. Our story begins in the 1920s. Wireless communication was in its infancy, and the world was just beginning to understand the potential of being able to communicate without wires. But it wasn't until 1949 that the first real pager was introduced to the world by an inventor named Al Gross. Just imagine, a world where, for the first time, people could be reached anywhere, even without being near a phone. Though the early pagers were bulky, they represented a dream come to life, a dream of instant, wireless communication. The rise of the pager. As time moved on, into the 1960s, pagers found their way into hospitals. Doctors, nurses, and emergency personnel relied on these small devices to save lives. A single beep could mean a call to action, a life in need. It was no longer just about convenience, it was about responsibility, trust, and urgency. In the 1980s, pagers began to spread beyond hospitals. Suddenly, business professionals, salespeople, and government officials were using them, and the world was starting to understand the power of instant connectivity. A single buzz, a beep, and you knew someone was waiting for you, relying on you. Pagers weren't just tools, they were symbols of importance. When your pager went off, you mattered. The golden era. By the 1990s, pagers had taken over the world. Everyone, from doctors and business people to everyday teenagers, was using them. In a way, these devices became the heartbeat of society. They represented more than just messages, they represented connection. You could receive a text from your loved ones, your friends, your boss, and at that moment, you felt included, important. At the height of their popularity, over 61 million people worldwide were using pagers. Think about that, 61 million people, all staying connected with a single beep or buzz, eagerly awaiting those short yet significant messages. In a time before smartphones, this was magic. The decline. But like all great things, the reign of the pager couldn't last forever. In the early 2000s, cell phones began to make their way into the mainstream. People were suddenly able to not just receive messages but to call, text, and even email, all from one device. The pager, once a symbol of connection and importance, began to slowly fade from view. It wasn't because it had failed. No, the pager had done its job brilliantly. But technology was moving faster than ever, and people were ready for the next step. Where pagers are today. And yet, even today, the pager isn't completely gone. In hospitals, emergency rooms, and critical care centers, pagers still quietly do their job, saving lives, making sure that the people who need to be reached can be reached, no matter what. Pagers don't rely on complex networks like cell phones, so in a crisis, they can still deliver the message, still make that connection when it matters most. So, while they may seem like a relic from the past, pagers are still out there, still working, still serving their purpose, even if we don't see them as much anymore. And that's the story of the pager, a simple device that changed everything. From hospitals to businesses to homes, pagers were once the key to staying connected in a disconnected world. Today, we may have smartphones and instant messaging, but there was a time when a single beep could mean everything. If you found this journey through time fascinating, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories from the world of technology. Thank you for watching, and always remember, sometimes, it's the simplest inventions that change the world the most.